My name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter and welcome to another weekly reading update. This is for week number 9 and this is February 24th through March the 2nd. So first of all, I do apologize. This is going up a day late. I usually like to get these up on Mondays, but unfortunately Mondays tend to be sometimes busy for me if I have a hospital appointment, but those are not as often anymore, which is super fantastic. So yeah, but anyway, day late, but we're still here. So the other things I want to mention very quickly is if you are interested in finding out, because I did do a whole video on my spice ratings for books, but if you need a reminder, I'm going to leave that rating system listed in the description box below, as well as timestamps if you want to jump ahead to any of the books that I'm going to talk about in this video. So I do have 5 books that I want to share with you. So let's jump in and get started. So the first one, finish the Sweet Valley High book. All Night Long by Francine Pascal. This is book number 5 in the Sweet Valley High series. I gave this book 3 stars. So in this one, Jessica hooks up with an older boy. She says he's 18, but even she admits he's probably in his like maybe 20, 21. Now she's only 16, so do keep that in mind. Sorry, I've got Missy trying to jump up on my lap as I sit here. Basically the whole plot of the book is that her and her sister are supposed to be taking this test to become like tour guides around Sweet Valley for the summer. And the night before this test that they've been studying for, that Elizabeth has been studying for and Jessica has not, Jessica ends up going out with this Scott guy to this like party that ends up lasting all night long. Like he tries to, take advantage of her basically. Luckily, it does not go that far, thankfully. And nothing bad happens other than him being a jerk and not taking her home, but basically he was drunk anyway. So Jessica calls Elizabeth the next morning and she's in a panic and she's like, I need you to cover for me. So Elizabeth pretends to be Jessica and it's a whole thing. And basically at the end of the day, Jessica does not learn her lesson and it is what it is. But anyway, it was a fun read. I'm enjoying rereading my way through this series. 3 stars. The next book that I finished was Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. This is the first book in the Big Shot series. I listened to this on audio through my library, through Libby. It was narrated on audio by Callie Dalton, and I gave it 4 stars, and this one is a 4 chili pepper rating for spice. High spice, but that's what Tessa Bailey tends to be. So this is the story of Josephine and Wells. This is a golf romance. Like I said, first in the Big Shot series. So basically Josephine is Wells's biggest fan. She is his fangirl. And he came onto the tour, like into the PGA Tour, riding high. He was the great new player. And then over the last few years, he has just gone downhill. He has stopped caring. He has started partying. It's all kinds of things. He's kind of the bad boy of the tour, if you will, but she has still stayed his fan. Sorry, as you can see, we have a Missy in the lap now. But anyway, so at the beginning of the book, he decides he's done and he's going to quit. And he basically tells her to bugger off, that he no longer wants her as a fan. He doesn't care anymore. He doesn't care about the sport. He doesn't care about anything. So she was supposed to go for lunch with him. She had won a lunch and golf, what do you call it? He was going to teach her like a training session, I guess, if you will, and a lunch date with him. And he basically told her to bugger off and that was it. So then as the book begins, there's a hurricane that kind of rips through. It takes place in South Florida. This hurricane comes through and he feels horribly guilty. He knows that her family owns a pro shop in Palm Beach. And he goes to see what's happened and the shop has been destroyed. He feels guilty about everything, about the way he treated her. And, he's showing some remorse. So anyway, through a series of events, she ends up caddying for him during the tour because he's trying to make his way back onto the tour now. And the romance goes from there. It was fun. It was very, very, very spicy. But unlike the Megan Quinn book, there was still a lot of story. It wasn't just romance scene after romance scene, if you will. But the romance scenes did get very, very spicy. I do have to say, hi, Missy, how are you? It's like having kids. They need constant attention. So anyway, yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. I am actually currently reading the second book in the series. And this is a hockey romance. So yeah, I mean, even if you're not a golf fan, this one is still a lot of fun. Ow, sorry, the cat. I really like the banter that Tessa Bailey writes in her books. They're a lot of fun. And I enjoyed this one quite a bit. The next one that I finished was One Colorado Night by Joanne Rock. This is book number 2 in the Return to Catamount series. I read this one as an ebook from Hoopla, and this is Harlequin Desire novel number 2882, and it's from July of 2022. I gave this one 4 stars as well, and this was 2 chili peppers for spice rating. So this is the story of Jessamine and Ryder. And this is a second chance romance. They dated when they were teenagers, like 18, 19. So this is the second book in the series. So the first book follows Jessamine's sister. So it's a trilogy, and one book is about each of the sisters. So the third book will be about the oldest sister, I think. So anyway, Jessamine has returned to the small town of Catamount because the grandmother passed away, and they're kind of going over her will and stuff like that, like cleaning out the house and trying to decide what to do. And, the sisters don't really get along. The parents divorced many, many years ago, and sides were taken between the parents. And, it wasn't the greatest of experiences, but the sisters are now. So what I really like about this one is that not only are we getting this romance, this second chance romance, but it's also the sisters coming back together as family, which is really, really nice to see as well. So in this one, Jessamine and Ryder meet up at the airport at the beginning of the book, and she thought she had a car booked to take her into town. She did not. He had a vehicle, so they drive into town together, and they kind of reconnect, and she goes to see him, and they end up sleeping together. And, by miracle of miracles, because I've always said that women in romance novels are the most fertile women ever, that she gets pregnant. So the cover of this one is very misleading. She looks extremely pregnant in this cover, but she's not that pregnant even at the end of the book. So basically this is like the two of them navigating their relationship. I enjoyed it. Like I said, it was 4 stars. I like this series quite a bit. It takes place in Colorado. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's a trilogy. They get a little spicy, but they are a lot of fun. The next one that I finished was Dangerous Love by Francine Pascal. This is Sweet Valley High book number 6, and I gave this one 3.5 stars. So this one actually ends on a cliffhanger in a way. I know kind of how it continues on because I've read the series before, because it's going to be a few more months before I get back to the Sweet Valley books because of how I'm rating these books, or the Sweet Valley High books. But anyway, so in this book, Todd, and this has been something that's been alluded to over the last few books. So the Sweet Valley books, for those of you who don't know, you can read them out of order. You can just pick one and read it. But if you're going to read through them, you kind of should read them in order because they do read like a soap opera. And stuff builds off of previous stories. So it's been talked about in the last couple books that Todd has been saving up for this motorcycle. So in this book, he buys the motorcycle. But the thing is that Elizabeth's family, her cousin was killed in a motorcycle accident. So the parents have forbidden the twins to ever ride on a motorcycle. So Todd has this motorcycle now, but the whole time that he's been wanting to buy it, Elizabeth never told him that I can't ride on this. I'm not allowed. So when he eventually gets it, she tells him, and he goes to her parents and he's like, hey, is it okay? And they're like, no, I'm sorry. We appreciate you coming to talk to us, but no. And it kind of goes back and forth, and, she starts to get jealous because there's these other girls who are going on rides with him and things like that. And then towards the end of the book, I'm not giving away spoilers, but it kind of sort of is, there's a motorcycle accident, and then it leads into book number 7. So that's the cliffhanger of this one. But if you've seen the series, obviously everything is fine because the book goes on for another 143 books. But but it was still a fun read. Ow, Missy just bit me, and now she can leave. So I enjoyed it. And the last book that I finished was one that I hadn't planned on reading. It was kind of a last minute, let's read this one. And that was Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn. This is the first book in the Killers of a Certain Age series. The second book actually comes out today. And I listened to this one on audio as well, on Spotify, and it was narrated by Jane Oppenheimer and Christina Delane. I gave this book 4 stars, and this actually does have 1 chili pepper rating. So there is a love scene, but it's like fade to black. So this story was so much fun. This was not amazing. This wasn't like, oh my God, you have to read this right away. But if this is something that interests you, definitely stick it on your TBR to get to because it was a lot of fun. So this is the story of Billy, Helen, Mary Jo, and Natalie. And these 4 ladies were recruited in the late 1970s, 1979 actually, to become assassins for this organization called the Museum. This is not a government organization, nothing like that. But it started out, the book gets into the whole thing, but it kind of started out during World War II when they were going after Nazis that were not captured during World War II. So anyway, they are assassins, and they've been assassins for 40 years. And now they are in their 60s and they are retired. So they end up getting these, like invitations to go on this cruise and, to celebrate their retirement. And while they're on their cruise, they realize that there is someone there from the museum, from this organization, sent to kill them. And the story goes from there. So it's basically a kill or be killed kind of scenario. So it goes back and forth in time. That's why there are two narrators. So it's told in first person in today's time, and then back it's told like in third person, I guess. And it was really, really enjoyable. I thought it was a lot of fun. A little tongue-in-cheek in places, because the ladies are, of course, older now, and as like they're still murdering people, and they're complaining about their back aching and their knees aching and menopause and all of these things. And, and one of the ladies is dealing with the death of her husband and, being a widow now and all these things. And it was really, really enjoyable. I liked it a lot. If it's something that sounds like it would be interesting to you, I definitely recommend that you give it a try. So yeah. So anyway, guys, that's what I read this week. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Not terribly long, I just noticed. But yeah, I don't like to give too much information, just enough to maybe pique your interest. And yeah, so that's it, you guys. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them, or what was your favorite book that you read last week. And until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.